It helps to get favorable financing conditions because investors prefer those companies which are conscious of sustainability issues. Workers, the employees, take pride in the company which reports sustainability. And it enhances our reputation by providing truthful and robust information on tough issues. So this is the benefit of these two slides should give you a business case for sustainability reporting. Yep, next. Reporting follows a PDCA cycle. So what do we do? You can enter in these 4 steps anywhere. Let's say you start reporting first. So the reporting, what do you report? Report how your activities are affecting the environment and the society. If you are a banking company like State Bank of India or Citibank, you don't talk about environment. You talk about how you are treating your people, how your financing is going on, where your money is going on. So what are relevant to you, to your business, you report. How it is affecting with respect to your core operations. You don't talk about environment. Banking operation has nothing to do with the environment. Whereas refinery operation has all the more to do with the environment. So you should talk only about environment. I mean majority. Of course, there are people whose health and safety I have to take care of. So you report, you set targets, implement improvements, analyze the gap between the actual performance and the target, and again close the cycle by reporting. So this follows a similar to a PDCA cycle. Yeah, next. Who are all reporting in the world? CSR reporting has become a norm instead of an exception. In 2005, only 50% of the Fortune 250 companies reported their sustainability. In 2008, it has jumped to 80% of 250 companies in the global top 250. 3/4 of 250 companies have a sustainability strategy that includes the objectives. 2/3 of the companies engage with their stakeholders, which was 33% in 2005. And 3/4 of the 250 companies use GRI guidelines for reporting. KPMG survey. It's available in the net. Next. What should you report? This is nicely summed up in this. In a sustainability report, if you are looking for any company's sustainability report, these are the things you should look for. Very nicely, this guy has summed it up. What is he saying? Firstly, sustainability reporting must address the sustainability issues that are relevant to your operations. Don't talk about environment if you are in the business of banking. So that's what. It's very important. What are the relevant issues you must report in your sustainability issue for your business? Second, sustainability reporting should be part of the management review. Does it happen? Or is it only reporting is made, report is made? So it is like your ISO. Whenever ISO auditor comes, I open my books, I regularize my reports, and then I get next day the auditor comes, I regularize everything, I get my ISO certification. Is it like that, or is it in the part of the business management review? That's the second thing you should look at. The third thing is, who are your stakeholders? Are their aspirations taken into account in your sustainability issues and reports? If that is not answered, that means you are not doing anything great on sustainability. So these are the three issues which the President of the World Business Council summed it up, saying that you must look at these three issues in your reporting. When these three steps happen consistently, sustainability reporting will truly be of benefit to the business and the community the world over. Next. Which guidelines to follow for reporting? Now everyone will immediately say GRI guidelines. There are 3 more guidelines you should look at when it comes to reporting. They are IPICA standards, Global Compact and World Business Council standards. So this is what, they are all relevant to our oil and gas business, so we refer to them also in addition to GRI reporting guidelines. IPICA was formed in 1974 when United Nations formed the UN Environmental Plan. And it is the only global association which covers both downstream and upstream operations. And IPICA is the industry's principal channel of communications with the United Nations.
Next. Global Compact has 10 universally accepted principles in the area of human rights, labor, environment and corruption. So their job is to deploy these 10 principles in business activities around the world and catalyze it in the support of the United Nations goals, which are Millennium Development Goals. World Business Council for Sustainable Development is similar to that. They focus on energy, business development, business role and ecosystems. So here, see, the sustainability issues, I mean, you must be already aware of, looks at the 3 things mainly. One is human and society, and second is economic development and sustainability, and the third is the environmental sustainability. Whereas World Business Council looks at only these 4. What is missing is the human aspects, human and society. Yeah, next. GRI, I don't have to dwell on this. This has been very well amplified, I presume, on the Monday's lecture. GRI developed these guidelines. It issued the guidelines in 2000 and 2002. The second generation came, and the third generation came in 2006. When we produced the report in 2006 for the year 2005-06, we immediately followed the G3 guidelines. Even though there was a 2-year grace period available, the day October 2006 it was launched, we said we will follow for our immediate report, which is due. The G3 guidelines, there is an application level which C, B, A. C is if you cover only 10 core indicators, it's enough. And B covers 20 core indicators and A covers something like 50 indicators. But keep one thing in mind, just because you are reporting A does not become you are a grade. It doesn't mean that. A does not mean you are great. C does not mean you are bad. What is relevant to you? If it is only 10 indicators are relevant to me, I report on 10, I get C. But C in no way is inferior to A in no way is superior to C. Okay, about 60% of companies surveyed cited that GRI guidelines is the framework they use to select the report. This was 40% in 2005. Next. Who is in charge of reporting? In a company, you just go and find out who is in charge of reporting. Analyze that, you will get an idea how much commitment they have. What is that? One way to assess the importance of a company, importance a company places on CSR is to determine who is responsible for implementing it and whether or not there is a direct lineage to the board of directors. Many companies have a separate CSR departments. Some utilize committees whose members represent the broad scope of CSR impacts and issues. For example, committee members are drawn from health, safety, environment, HR, finance and energy. I mean, this model is what Reliance is following. Others rely on the corporate communications department to do the job. The trend is that CSR is definitely a specialized subject. So it should not be left to the corporate communications department. So if you find a company is more focused on communications department to do the reporting, there's some problem with that. Whereas we follow the second model. We have a CSR committee which includes finance, energy, I represent, and then safety, the people to represent all that. Yeah, next. Now, the other question is, do you need to borrow money?
Do you need money to expand your business? If you have to borrow money, you better report first. That's the requirement now. So the companies, the investors are asking you, if I have to give you money, what are your sustainability issues? Are you reporting them? Can I see your sustainability report? This is what they are asking. So now the banks are subscribing to those Equitar principles. If you are subscribing to Equitar principles, you will make sure that your investment, conforms to the norms of the environment and the people whom it is going to affect. Those things are suitably taken care of or not. In Narmada Dam, we had so much of problems. She came and did a lot of andolan and all. So all these things, how do you make the investment? Is it going to the right way? Is it taking care of the displaced people? Those things are embedded in Equitar principles. If the banks become a part of the Equitar principles, then you have to abide by their guidelines. Some of the banks, I don't think any bank in India is there, but I know the foreign banks which are in India are part of it. For example, ABN AMRO is part of it, part of this Equitar principles. And I think Standard Chartered also is there, I think. So there are some foreign companies, foreign banks are part of this Equitar principles. And their criteria is something like any investment which calls for above $50 million will be subject to this criteria. Yeah, next. As per KPMG survey, 42% of the investors in the 250 group have cited the Equitar principles, and just over 10% of all funds invested in the US are subject to responsible investment criterion. Yeah, next. Disclose carbon footprint. Somebody asked me about carbon footprint. Disclose carbon footprint to become a global company. If you are not reporting carbon footprint, then you are not reporting sustainability. You must know how much CO2 you are releasing to the atmosphere and what are you doing about it. There are a lot of numbers. The CDP represents 534 institutional investors with a combined $64 trillion under the management. Nearly half of the 250 companies surveyed disclosed carbon emissions from their own operations, and an additional 8% reported emissions to include the value chain. That means whatever supply material you bring in, whatever is happening downstream, both they covered.